Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us again for another virtual bird walk. My name is Tori, and I'll be your host today. And as you may be aware, Chirp is in its second year of bird walks, and we lead in-person bird walks on the first Saturday of the month. So if you can, come join us on September 5th. But right now, you're seeing footage from our last in-person bird walk on August 1st, and we saw beautiful sights and many birds. So everyone who was on the walk enjoyed it so much that we're going to take you back there virtually now, because our goal is to get you connected to nature through birding any way that we can. But instead of just watching from your screen, you're going to help us identify the birds, and I'll explain in a little bit. But before we get started, let me introduce you to our guide for today. And as I start this introduction, go ahead, post where you're coming to us from and a name of your favorite bird, just to get those chat hands warmed up. So our guide for today, some of you may know him. His name is Randy Putz. He is a nature enthusiast and has been passionate about connecting people to nature. Now, he also loves bluebirds. All right, looks like we're ready to get started. Thank you so much for joining us today. Here we go.
I'm ready for a bird walk. I hope you are too. Before we get started, I want to make sure I'm well prepared. As always, I've got a good pair of optics. I've got my Zeiss binoculars here. I have a bird guide, which is always handy to look things up. Normally I take my Peterson guide, my favorite, but today I'm going to mix it up a little bit, and I'm going to take this Sierra bird guide. Even though we're not in the Sierras, a lot of the birds are the same, and this is a little smaller and more convenient to carry. Of course, I've got my wild bird checklist available online or at Chirp Nature Center in the Big Bear Lake Village. And another handy thing is I have the Southern California Mountain Wildflower book that's useful to look up all the green things we see along the way. All right, I think we're ready. Come on, let's go walking.
So today we're going to be walking along the Meadow's Edge picnic area. And for those who are new to the location, you can look on the map on the right-hand side, and this is the trailhead located on the north shore of Big Bear Lake. Now, Chirp is located in the Big Bear Village, so it's a lovely 12-minute drive to the area. The nice thing about this walk is it is easily accessible, and you can park in the picnic area parking lot or the Serrano Campground parking lot adjacent to the trailhead. And as Randy mentioned, whether you are bird walking virtually or in person, it is always important to bring your gear with you. Right? So if you have any types of bird guides, field guides, those are all helpful during your bird walk, virtually or in person. On the left-hand side, you can see some of the resources Randy's using, but anything will do. And you can always look up different types of guides that are available at your local birding stores like Chirp. All right, so where exactly are we headed today?
Today we are going to walk from the Meadow's Edge picnic area over to Juniper Point and back. And the great thing about this walk is that on the way out towards Juniper Point, as we head east, we are going to go along the lake, and then on the way back we're going to take the paved pedal path. And this is a great easy walk, especially good for kids and families. Because it's flat, a lot of it's paved, and you get to see a variety of environments, whether that's the edge of the lake or the more treed forest area.
Other than birds, what other wildlife could we see when we're taking this walk?
Look and see if you can find the bat houses that conservationists have put up. I've counted 6 already. See how many you can count.
Check it out, there's one right there. Now, bat boxes are easy to build and easy to buy from Chirp locally or online. And although there are 20 species of bats in the Big Bear area, I want to share about 3 in particular. There is the Mexican free-tailed bat. It is one of the most abundant bats in North America, and its tail extends 1/3 beyond their tail membrane. So if you can see in the picture, that is tiny little tail. There also is the big brown bat. It is big and it is brown. It is also one of the fastest bats, reaching speeds of up to 40 miles per hour. Then, last but not least, there is the silver-haired bat. Now, this bat typically roosts inside tree cavities and primarily feeds on moth. It also proves that gray hair is fashionable in the animal kingdom. Look, the bat's even smiling in its photo. So if you have gray hair, you're trendy among the bats. To learn more about these fascinating animals, Chirp is hosting a bat talk on September 19th at 4 o'clock. So you won't want to miss this event as we go batty for bats. Now, it looks like Randy has already spotted some birds in the trees. Let's see what's going on in the brush.
A lot of corvid action. I've seen a Clark's nutcracker on the top of this juniper, and down low are a whole bunch of scrub jays that are feeding on the juniper berries.
All right, now it is time to start identifying birds, but we aren't going to let Randy do all of the work this time. Here is where you, all of the chirpers joining us, come in. Whenever Randy begins to describe a bird, it is your job to identify that bird and post its name in the chat before the name appears on the top of the screen. For those enjoying this walk after the live event, you can still join in and guess the birds before the bird's name is revealed. Remember, this is for fun, and we know that those names appear fast, so don't worry. Even if you don't identify the bird right away, we will give helpful clues so you can name these birds the next time you see them. So let's get back to Randy and start identifying some birds. Okay, get those typing little fingers ready.
It's in the corvid family, so it's very intelligent. It is predominantly gray with darker wings and white patches on the side. Likes to sit up on top of trees. Pretty easy to identify, both by the way it looks and the way it sounds. It's got a loud caw sound.
All right, if you typed Clark's nutcracker into the chat, congratulations, you identified your first bird. Now let me tell you a little bit more about this clever creature. So it hides thousands of pine tree seeds each year, and it can remember where you put them. Now, Lewis and Clark saw it in 1805, and it is one of the 3 birds that they brought back from their expedition. And you can hear the call and response of a mother and a juvenile wanting to be fed. Well, looks like Randy is on the move, so let's follow.
We're winding through the willows and the junipers and the ironwood to get to the edge of the lake.
Wow, just look at that view.
Beautiful Big Bear Lake, with the ski resorts in the background. Sugarloaf Mountain, which is just shy of 10,000 feet over there. Interestingly, the highest point in Southern California you can go with a mountain bike.
Well, this view truly makes me appreciate our valley. As the sun hits the mountain, it honestly kind of takes my breath away. And it makes me think of how the birds who live here have some prime real estate, like this next bird, which we saw in huge groups flying around the meadow in our in-person birdwalk. So get ready to identify it.
They have a metallic dark blue back with a pumpkin colored rump, a brick red face, and a white forehead. You'll see them darting around above the trees, feeding on insects. You'll see them here, especially because of the lake attracting more bugs. And they are known to nest in colonies of thousands of birds.
Congratulations! If you were able to identify the American cliff swallow, you are correct. Now, these birds are air foragers, which is why you would see them morning and night, because they're constantly catching bugs in midair at dawn and dusk. When we were hiking, we saw swallows darting all around the area, and it was beautiful. They also build mud nests. They live in gourd-shaped mud nests that clusters around horizontal overhangs. Now, scientists have recorded nest colonies up to 3,700. Personally, I grew up with 4 siblings in one house, so I don't know if I could handle thousands of neighbors as well. They also have a flight call, and you'll be able to hear this one. This is of multiple adults flying by their nests. Now, this area is stunning, so let's learn more about some of the surrounding vegetation.
Common tree in this area is a western juniper. They're huge, 50, 60 feet tall, and they're old, sometimes 1,000, 2,000 years old. A magnificent specimen.
Now, this is an especially large tree that Randy found because junipers vary in sizes and shapes from tall trees ranging from 66 to 131 feet to low spreading shrubs with long trailing branches. And as mentioned before, juniper berries are usually feasted on by a variety of birds. If we saw a bird eating berries, this is what it would look like. Let's see if you can identify it.
Charcoal gray, yellow, and white. It will sit on the edge of trees and it will fly out and grab insects. It also has a unique ability for warblers in that it can digest the wax off of certain berries. It will eat insects during the summer, berries in the fall. Happens to like peanut butter, so you might even see it at your feeder.
You are feasting your eyes upon the yellow-rumped warbler. Now, this is one of the hardiest warblers because it is a versatile forager and able to adapt to food sources with the changing season. Now, because of its ability to digest waxy fruits, which is a low competition food source, they can winter further north than other warblers who travel as far as South America and Mexico. Now, the male song lasts only 1 to 3 seconds and can consist of a song up to 21 different notes. Go ahead and take a listen. All right, so the lake is just coming into view, so get ready to identify a lake bird. You probably will know what this is.
These are beautiful white birds, and they're big birds. They weigh as much as 2 gallons of paint. Their wingspans are upwards of 100 inches, which is as wide as Shaq O'Neal is tall. They work together in groups to herd fish, which they scoop up with their big prehistoric bills, and they eat a lot. It takes 150 pounds of food to raise a baby pelican chick to adulthood. I love watching them skim across the surface of the lake. It reminds me of a squadron of fighter planes.
All right, I'm seeing in the chat people identified this. This is an American white pelican. Something that's very interesting about these animals is that they develop very quickly. So chicks can crawl by 1 to 2 weeks and they walk by 3 weeks. Once they can walk to water, they can swim. And by 9 to 10 weeks, they can fly. So I just had a family member born yesterday, and I would be very surprised if she could do any of this activity in the next few weeks. And honestly, I'd be very jealous if she ever learns how to fly. Now, these majestic birds are one of the largest birds in North America. Like Randy mentioned, 2 gallons of paint. That's how much they weigh. And as I am sure you're aware of just how impressive this animal is. Now, adult pelicans are usually silent, but the chicks have kind of this whining grunt of a call, and it can be heard in the colonies. It sounds like this. Okay, cute. Now, the great thing about this walk is not only do you see a variety of birds, but you end up in a variety of locations. So check out what we're seeing now.
As we walk east out of the wooded area and away from the picnic area, we come across this beautiful meadow that is spring-fed. If you listen, you can hear the bubbling of the spring. There's actually several that feed this meadow and flow into the lake. This is one of the reasons why we like this area for bird watching, because water means birds.
As you can see, the lovely creek is being shown right here, but there's another way that we know this is a good bird watching area.
If you pay attention, you can notice clues that this is a great place to spot birds. If I look along this rail, I will see that it is covered with bird poop. That means there are a lot of birds here.
Well, it looks like we chose the right place to walk today. And now that we've moved into the meadow, This is a bird that we would typically see, and this is where we would find it. Go ahead and get those little bird identifying chats ready.
We'll see it in the junipers and especially the willow trees. These are very territorial and aggressive birds. The males will of their day defend their territory. They're known to go after humans, horses, birds of prey. They are a polygamous bird. The males will have as many as 15 different female mates. The females are sort of gray and subdued like a large sparrow. The males are black with scarlet and yellow on their wings, which they will puff up often when they're protecting their territory.
Now, once you're able to identify this bird, it kind of just makes sense. It's called the red-winged blackbird. Now, females lay 3 or 4 pale blue eggs accented with black, brown, and purple markings. Pretty beautiful. These birds are also very committed to finding food. Some will travel as far as 50 miles between roosting and feeding sites. Now, there's a variety of calls that the red-winged blackbird makes, but today we are listening to an alarm call from the male. And if you haven't been astonished by the view already, take a look at where we are now.
A nice feature about this particular walk is that you can easily pop down from the meadow, from the path to the lake's edge, where you'll see a variety of water birds.
Again, just look at that view. Pretty amazing. Well, now that we're close to the lake, let's start identifying some more lake birds. Where does this first, or what is the name of this first bird that you potentially would see when in this area?
They are smaller, black, chicken-like birds. They have a white sloped bill and greenish yellow legs. They are unique in that they don't have webbed feet like ducks. They instead have lobes of skin on their feet that allow them to paddle, but then also give them stability in the muckier water.
Congratulations on identifying your second water bird. This is the American coot. This is a very social bird, and they will flock in groups numbering in the thousands. Now, during winter, these birds are sometimes referred to as cootsicles because they're known to become trapped in the ice in the waterbeds, and they make a lovely snack for eagles and other birds of prey. Now, they have a lower gravelly quack, which sounds like this. Now, when we were walking, we saw this bird everywhere. So what is it?
They are the ancestor of most all ducks. You will see them across North America and Eurasia, on ponds and lakes and estuaries. The males, of course, have that iridescent green head, the gray body, black tail feathers. The females and the juveniles are more mottled brown with orange bills. They're what we call dabbling ducks, where they'll float on the surface and they will pop down and feed on plants. They nest from mid-March to about the end of July. They will nest in plant material near the edge of water or in old dead trees. You can even get nest boxes for them.
I'm watching the answers zoom into the chat, and you are correct. This is a mallard duck. This is a great bird to be able to identify because it is so common. Now, did you know when a group of ducks is flying, it's called a flock? And then when the ducks are in water, it's called a raft. So next time you go bird watching, I hope you find many flocks and rafts now that you're able to identify them. As Randy mentioned, these are dabbling ducks. They're omnivores, so they eat plants and animals like fish, insects, and fish eggs. But what distinguishes them from other ducks is that they dip into the water to eat. They're usually never seen diving. Now, contrary to popular belief, do not feed bread to ducks, especially white bread, because when a duck's diet consists of a high carb, low nutrition source and too much protein, it can actually lead to a wing deformity called angel wing. So instead of bread, feed them specially formulated duck food, which you can purchase at a local birding center, or you can give them corn, peas, beans, broccoli, beets, and other natural foods. Now, listen to this duck quack as it flies overhead, and this is a common sound that you hear when visiting the Big Bear Lake area. All right, so this next bird was very new to me, so I'm so glad that Randy and you are able to be here to help and identify it.
They are black with orange faces. They will often be seen with their wings outstretched, drying, and that's because they don't have as much oil in their feathers, and that's so that they can dive more easily in the water. Their feathers will not repel water like a duck's will. They are relatives of frigates and boobies, and you will see them on freshwater, like our lake here, as well as salt water.
Now, I personally had trouble identifying this bird, so if you were able to identify the double-crested cormorant, well done. Although this bird is originally a coastal bird, it has had great success establishing itself in inland lakes and rivers. Interesting to note, it nests on either the ground or in trees. Now, the double-crested cormorant can dive to depths of 25 feet, but there are some cormorant species that can dive to depths of 150 feet, which makes them some of the deepest diving birds. If you listen closely, you can hear the deep guttural grunt that kind of sounds like an oinking pig. They grunt when taking off or landing or during mating or aggressive displays, but otherwise they're generally pretty silent. What an interesting call. Well, as we move away from the lake, this is where we end up.
We've come back up from the lake's edge. We're on the alpine pedal path and heading back towards the Meadow's Edge picnic area where we started. We're making a loop. We'll be going through the meadow again and back into the forested area.
As we move to yet another area, there are even more birds that we can anticipate seeing.
In this more forested area of our walk, I'm of course looking for some of our usual suspects, the jays, the nuthatches, the chickadees. They will typically be all around us, and if we watch carefully and look carefully, we'll see that there are a ton of birds all around.
All right, and out of the ton of birds, next we're going to identify a specific species of blackbird.
The male, of course, is black with a purplish tint to its head and a greenish tint to its body. You will find them in flocks as large as 50 or 100 birds, often with other types of blackbirds. They are rather raucous, and the females are more of a mottled brown colored. They resemble the brown-headed cowbird.
Now, this is a brewer's blackbird. They also are very social birds, and they will usually nest in shrubs. They're ground foragers, which means they like to eat off the ground. So for the best results to get them in your backyard, you can scatter seeds on the ground and use an open platform feeder. And as you can tell by the video on the right-hand side, they love water fountains. Now their song is kind of this short squee, which is like almost a metallic sound, but instead of me trying to imitate it for you, we're just gonna go ahead and listen to a female song. Aren't you glad we have those recordings? That way I'm just not making up all these sounds for you. All right, so there was another bird that was mentioned a second ago, and here are some of its unique qualities. Go ahead and get ready to identify it.
It puts all of its effort into laying eggs, and it does not build nests. Instead, what it does is it takes over other birds' nests. Over 200 different species are known to be their victim, if you will. And what they do is they kick out the eggs and they replace them with their own eggs, and they trick the other bird species into incubating and raising their young.
I hope you're paying attention because Randy did give you a hint about identifying this bird. It looks like the female's brewer blackbird, but this in fact is a brown-headed cowbird. And here's a few more distinguishing features to help you identify it, if you didn't already. So when looking at the brown-headed cowbird, in flight, you want to look for a shorter tail. It also has a bill that is shorter and much thicker than other blackbirds. It's almost finch-like at a glance. And it has a very distinct sliding whistle song. But if you think about it, most birds learn their songs from their parents. So how do cowbirds learn their call if they're raised by other birds? Now, this is still a scientific puzzle, and hopefully one day we'll find the answer. But here's a male singing a liquid-sounding series of notes, followed by a thin sliding whistle. It only lasts about 1 second. Well, I hope that all of you joining us on this walk today are equally impressed with the amount of birds that we saw and that you were able to identify. Now, pat yourself on the back, whether you got them all right or you got one. We're so grateful that you were with us today. So before we tell you about the bird prize that you can win for all of your hard work, Randy has one last thing to share.
I want to thank you for joining us today. Another beautiful day in Big Bear Lake. We've seen some interesting birds, and I hope you will join us on our future walks and talks, both virtually and in person at Chirp Nature Center. Be well and good birding.
Let's get one last look at this beautiful view that we got to enjoy today. And hopefully this will encourage you to take the walk yourself when you're in Big Bear. All right, so it is time to reward yourself for all of the birding knowledge that you have gained today. And now you can take a short quiz. Now it's super simple and easy to access this quiz. You want to go to our website, chirperbirds.com, and you'll just / and add quiz at the very end. Super simple, easy to get to. Now, here's the grand prize that you will be entered in to win by taking this quiz. You are able to win a free Vortex Solo monocular. Now, this is complete with a carrying case and a lanyard. It's at a $70 value, but we would give this to you for free, and it's especially good for kids. So we're only giving one away, but by taking this quiz, you will be entered into the drawing to win this fantastic prize. And regardless, just for participating and taking the quiz, you will be mailed a prize, this fantastic Big Bear Lake sticker. But don't forget, you only have 24 hours to complete this quiz. So again, the URL should be posted in all of the chats. It's also available on our website. But again, super simple, chirperbirds.com/quiz. Now, until we see you again, we have some upcoming virtual events that I want to remind you about. We have our virtual bird talks, which happen on the third Saturday of every month. Now, the next one is on August 15th, and we're going to be talking about fantastic flying squirrels. Let me tell you, you will not want to miss this presentation or the presenter. He's very knowledgeable and a lot of fun to listen to. We also have our how-to series, which is on the fourth Wednesday of every month. So the reason we created this event is because we had so many customers asking us questions like, how do you start backyard birding? How do you improve backyard birding? So we're going through different elements of backyard birding and telling you how to do it. The next upcoming one is how to find perfect feeders. Now this is going to be on August 26th at 4 p.m. Trust me, you won't want to miss it. We also have our virtual bird walks, which you are attending today. They happen the second Wednesday of every month. Our next one is in September on the 9th. And don't forget, we have our in-person bird walks the first Saturday. So I know this is a lot of information, but you can always go to chirperbirds.com and get all the answers. Until we see you again, let us know how we can help. So Chirp Nature Center is located in Big Bear Lake, California in the Village, but you can call us anytime or email us at help@chirperbirds.com. We also have social media sites that you can follow for any upcoming events or exciting news we want to share. You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, or on Instagram. So again, thank you so much for joining us here today. Now, go and test your bird brain at chirperbirds.com/quiz, and we look forward to seeing you again very soon.